Okay, let's talk about outfit formulas. I feel like sometimes there's a bit of a misconception that these are going to be boring and basic, but that is so far from true. To me, outfit formulas just act as the cheat code for when you're not at full mental capacity to craft this amazing 10 out of 10 creative fit. So rather than having a complete and utter meltdown, all you have to do is copy your own previous homework. These should be concepts that are already tried and tested in your wardrobe, and you know are going to look good. I feel like the key to the best outfit formulas is leaving some wiggle room, because if you are planning to go back to the same well over and over again, you still want it to feel fresh. So you still want to be able to add in your own personal flair and tweak accordingly, whether it is your mood, the occasion, the weather. And that's why I say outfit formulas are not boring or basic, because you could give the same prompt to 5 different people and it would manifest completely differently in each of their wardrobes. So I guess today I thought I'd just share my notes with examples, of course. So even though I'm working more on my everyday wearable wardrobe lately, you guys know I love playing dress ups and having fun with styling. So I knew I'd still need an outlet to get in my hit of whimsy fashion. And that's exactly what I get when I enter the bright, fantasy-filled world of Infinity Nikki. You might already be familiar with her because she is a fashion icon at this point, but I'm just obsessed with how they're able to seamlessly blend a creative dress-up experience with the coziest open world adventure. For me, this is supposed to be my chill escape time, so I like that it doesn't feel too overwhelming. Everything Nikki collects on her journey goes towards crafting new outfits to express your style and unlock abilities to overcome challenges alongside the cutest bestie, Momo. Because let's be real, what is a magical girl without a fluffy sidekick? And thanks to the biggest update since their launch, as of April 29th, you can now have real-time interactions with your friends too. The game fully supports 2-player online co-op, enabling you to teleport to your friend and enjoy all the fun Infinity Nikki has to offer together. Now with update 1.5, that can even include exploring new areas like the Sea of Stars, a stunning public zone, or Serenity Island that has been completely transformed with a limited time bubble event currently offering seasonal activities. As if I wasn't already insanely jealous of how magical her wardrobe is, she's stepping it up once again with new dyeing techniques, allowing you to customize outfits with your favorite colors. And we're talking 100 free pulls and 5 brand new outfits available for free, including 5-star outfit, the iconic Sea of Stars. Which also, just a tip, make sure you're following them on social media, that way you won't miss out on any future limited events and updates. This is the perfect chance for new players to jump in with their official launch on Steam, but of course this is a multi-platform game, so no matter how you like to play, you'll be able to enjoy the beautifully curated world by downloading now via the link on screen or in the description box. Plus, if you use the special gift code InfinityNikki429, you'll be able to claim your free in-game resources. Thank you so much to Infinity Nikki for sponsoring today's video. Without a doubt, my most repeated outfit is a graphic tee and long skirt combo. This is just an absolute savior for anyone who prioritizes comfort, which I think is why I gravitate towards it so much, particularly when it comes to needing a casual everyday look. I've noticed sometimes fashion people can get a bit snobby when it comes to graphic tees, saying that it's like cringe, lazy, but I would argue that that's almost the point in this instance. Like, some of the concepts I'm going to be talking about today are going to require different effort levels. This is definitely easy mode. Like, let's be real, it really doesn't feel like a bridge too far from pajamas. But as someone who struggles with my mental health and ability to actually leave the house, I've found that having this go-to uniform helps just lessen the list of things I have to overanalyze, as well as ensuring that I'm not overstimulated while I'm out, because nothing's too form-fitting or in a fabric that doesn't agree with me. Although with that being said, sometimes I find myself moving away from the baggier silhouette if I really need to dress it up. And for the most part, since this is such a simple combo, I like to play around with colors and patterns a lot to keep it interesting. I also love how easy this is to tweak, whether it's switching out the shoes, the accessories. Even come wintertime, I just opt for a graphic sweatshirt or jumper instead, and if necessary, also switching out to a heavier fabric on the skirt. Super cute, super cozy. And since I am such a big fan of dresses and skirts year round, it is no surprise that I also like to style them over pants. I love any opportunity to layer, but this particular method always has a sense of whimsy to me, and I think that's just because I tie it to nostalgia from the sort of styling I saw in the media I consumed growing up. For this formula, I do feel like there's a couple of extra things to keep in mind, just because your choice of length, shape, fabric can really alter the vibe that you're going for. But I think some of the easiest starting points would be opting for a wrap skirt. It feels a little bit more non-committal. Sort of a similar situation is going for something sheer or lace. That way you can still see the layers layers underneath, which if you're not used to this sort of styling, I think is a good way to not feel too swallowed up and overwhelmed by all the fabric. You could also go with mini skirts, should be the size of a belt. That way it almost feels like an extension of the top rather than you've put on 2 sets of bottoms. Personally, I also enjoy the opposite, going for a longer length. Often I like to keep the silhouette more loose in this sort of situation, but if I'm working with a more fitted boot cut jean, then I've found that I often gravitate towards a more A-line baby doll silhouette on top, and I think that's simply because it reminds me of a 2000s shoujo aesthetic. I know it might not be for everyone, but surprisingly this can be done in the most subtle way and still have a really big impact. And while we're on the topic of layering, I know sometimes it can feel like a bit of a daunting task, but it really doesn't have to be that complicated. So if you're someone who's new to layering or still kind of struggling with the concept, my biggest advice would be to put a top on and then put another top on. These could honestly both just be 2 basics, but the fact that you've teamed them together is already instantly elevating a simple outfit. And as with all outfit formulas, it really takes trial, error, and repetition to narrow it down to what works for you personally. But these are just some of my go-tos, which hopefully will give you some ideas to get started. A collared shirt is an absolute essential. I could even add this to our first outfit formula just to spice it up a little bit. Thrown over the top like an outerwear piece feels very effortless, but of course they are also offering versatility. Button it all the way up and use it as your base layer instead. I really love how it turned out, still sticking to that baggier silhouette, but you could totally go for something more fitted as well. And this is also the perfect opportunity to talk about one of my other favorite layering pieces, a vest. I've been a very loyal sweater vest enthusiast since 2018, but another option I really like is a more fitted waistcoat style, specifically if I team it with a baby doll dress. It's just a fun way to change up that silhouette a little, but honestly, if that's not really your thing, you cannot go wrong with just a classic cardigan. I know it might sound kind of basic with just a 1 button done up, but for me, it always eats, especially if I team it with a floral maxi like this. Something about it has that timeless 90s feel. Like, am I or am I not serving Miss Honey right now? But since I live somewhere that has a fairly long summer, I soon realized I needed to adjust this if I didn't want to melt, which is how I ended up with this collection of lightweight pieces, and exactly why I say you need to be testing these for yourself, because sometimes the Pinterest board just isn't going to translate to your situation. But if layering's off the table and the weather permits, then my suggestion would be to wear a jacket done all the way up as a solo piece. Often outerwear is already going to have more interesting details built in because it has to have some sort of fastening or closure, which is perfect to take advantage of if you're looking for a more effortless look. Personally, my favorite way to style it is with a skirt and boots. There's just something so chic about it. It instantly makes me feel like I belong in that era of movies where all the leading ladies were working in fashion magazines. Actually, this could just be considered the more elevated version of the first formula we spoke about. Definitely something I reach for if I need to feel a bit more dressed up. And also, what I consider to be a fun fact, every one of these jackets was bought secondhand, so definitely a great option if you're looking for something a bit more affordable and unique. I don't know if it's just a Queensland thing since we don't have as big of a need for jackets, but these are always in great condition. One of my favorite sections at the op shop to find a gem. Often when you're watching fashion content, you'll hear the person talk about juxtaposition and how that can make something more stylish. The concept of this is more or less just the effect of putting 2 things together that are in contrast, which means there's not one particular way to go about it, and the key is really figuring out what your favorite way to incorporate it into your looks is. So this could include all sorts of different things, from textures like leather and lace, which low-key feels like a cop-out at this point because it has become such a classic combo. Pairing something from your summer and winter wardrobe together. Don't get me wrong, because I do love how the outfit turns out sticking to full summer vibes, but it's nice to know that you have the option to switch it up too. And I definitely could play up the winter aspect even more by opting for a chunkier knitwear item, but the choice of accessories also really played a role here. You could try using something you would typically reserve for a night out, paired back with some more everyday pieces. As a homebody, I don't actually have a lot of evening options, but I think a slip dress works in this instance too. I could totally just throw a baggy tee on top, but I still wanted it to be the main focus, so to make it less dramatic, I shortened the length, and in this case, a belt is always going to be your best friend. Now it just feels more like a cami top, but it still completely altered the vibe of the outfit. Styling things that might be considered to be from completely opposite aesthetics is probably one of my favorite ways to go about it. I kid you not, I wore this outfit for every weekend for at least 4 months straight at the end of 2023, and somehow I'm still not sick of it. And if you break it down, all three components are bringing a very different vibe. Kind of similar, but something we've seen go viral on TikTok is the wrong shoe method. Crazy the difference just one element can make, because honestly, there's no way I would wear this otherwise. And of course, it doesn't just have to be shoes, you can do whatever you want. For example, styling these camo capris with more casual pieces in its wheelhouse versus going for something more dressed up instantly gave it this like Carrie Bradshaw effect. Actually, I have another one from TikTok that I think is kind of helpful. It's the one that goes, if an outfit isn't interesting through color, it needs to be interesting through shape, through texture, and then circling back to color. Personally, this isn't a go-to for me because I don't like using it as a starting base to create my outfit, but rather something that I kind of keep in the back of my head for any troubleshooting. If you have an outfit that you feel like isn't quite working, then I think this is a good, easy checklist to go through and see if you can switch out one of the elements. But if you're finding that it's actually a particular item of clothing that you're struggling to style every single time, then that's when you can really benefit from a very specific step-by-step formula. For me, up until very recently, the challenge was always trying to style shorts. I realized that a lot of the outfits on Pinterest were styling them with either sneakers or loafers, which aren't shoes that I would typically gravitate towards. So whenever I was trying to recreate it, I just didn't feel like myself. However, once I saw some inspo styling it with boots, it was an instant light bulb moment for me, and I was able to successfully input that data into my own wardrobe. So now typically the outfit is a pair of shorts above the knee, teamed with some boots, and on top some sort of cutesy blouse. Like I said, I needed to make the formula a little bit more specific than I usually would, but as always, I still like to leave accessories open. I feel like developing a small selection of signature accessories can be so helpful when it comes to easily completing an outfit. I'm sorry, but again, repetition is what's really gonna narrow these down and make it just feel like second nature. You could go in so many different directions here, but as you've probably noticed after watching this video, my preferences seem to lie with some sort of headwear accessory. It's just something that's always worked for me, plus it means I don't have to play around with my hairstyles. And I guess one of the main points here is that I'm lazy, because I also like to opt for a skinny scarf. As much as I love a perfectly curated necklace stack, this is just such a fuss-free alternative. Plus, it's a great finishing touch if you need to add texture back into your look. Another big one for me is a frilly lace sock. Yes, I'm insanely jealous of people with a huge shoe collection, but realistically, that's not me. For the most part, I seem to just stick with my classic black options. So pairing them with a dainty sock instantly adds that contrast that I like. And I know this is some people's pet peeve, but I'm sorry, I am someone who likes to match my shoes and bag together, which again is why I just go for a very staple black option. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's definitely supposed to be a sharing notes sort of situation, so please let me know in the comments what outfit formulas you love. Maybe I can even try them in a future video as well. And please don't forget to check out today's video sponsor. Download Infinity Nikki now via the link on screen, and more information down below in the description box, including that special gift code. Honestly, that also feels like a future video idea. Magical girls? Anyone? Let me know, but hopefully I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye!